What if the place you thought would offer you comfort and care turns out to be the hardest decision you've ever made? Are nursing homes really the haven they claim to be? Or is there something you need to know before you move in? That's the question I wish I had asked myself before I made the decision to move into a nursing home. When I first moved in, I thought I was making a choice for peace of mind, a place where I would be taken care of, surrounded by people who would look after me as I grew older. I imagined it would be a place of comfort, with plenty of socializing, quality care, and a sense of community. But let me tell you, the reality was far from that. In this video, I'm going to share with you 6 hard truths about life in a nursing home that no one tells you. Truths that would have helped me make a more informed decision and avoid some of the struggles I've faced since moving in. If you're considering moving into one, or if you have loved ones who might be thinking about it, these are the things you need to know before making that choice. Stick around, because these insights could save you a lot of heartache. Truth number 1, loss of independence. When I first moved into the nursing home, I expected to maintain a level of independence that would allow me to live as freely as possible. I imagined I would have my own space to enjoy quiet moments, maybe read a book, watch my favorite shows, or engage in activities at my own pace. The idea was that I'd have minimal assistance, just enough to help with a few daily tasks, but otherwise, I would be able to live comfortably and manage my own routine. But the reality of nursing home life was far from what I had imagined. Instead of autonomy, I found myself under constant monitoring. There were always staff members checking in on me, even during times when I just wanted a moment of solitude. While I understand the need for care, it felt intrusive. My daily activities weren't my own to control anymore. From the times I could go to bed to when meals were served, everything was scheduled for me. There was no room to make my own decisions about how I spent my day or when I could enjoy certain things. Even simple tasks, like choosing what to eat, were out of my hands. Everything is on a set menu, and if you don't like what's served, tough luck. Looking back, I wish I had known how much of my personal freedom would be taken away when I moved in. It's not just about physical care. It's about the emotional toll that comes with not being able to make choices for yourself anymore. There's a feeling of helplessness that creeps in when you can no longer make the small decisions that once defined your independence. It's easy to feel like you've lost a part of yourself. And while I know there are valid reasons for structure and routine in a nursing home, no one really warns you about the psychological impact of not having any control over your daily life. If you're considering a nursing home, it's important to realize that you may lose more than just physical independence. You may lose the ability to make even the most basic decisions about your day-to-day life. It's something I wish I had understood before I made this choice, and I want you to be aware of it too. Truth number 2, the emotional toll. When I made the decision to move into a nursing home, I expected to find not just physical care but emotional support as well. I thought the staff would be there to provide a sense of comfort, and that the other residents would become a community, people to talk to, share experiences with, and support each other. After all, it's supposed to be a place where people come together, right? I thought it would be a safe haven where I could feel emotionally supported as I navigated my golden years. But the reality of emotional support in a nursing home has been much different. Despite being surrounded by so many people, there are times when I feel incredibly isolated. The caregivers are busy and often stretched thin, so you don't always get the personal attention or emotional connection you might expect. And while there are other residents, it's not always easy to form meaningful bonds. Some people are too ill to engage. Others are just as lonely as you, and you find that many conversations revolve around the same complaints or concerns. There's a quiet loneliness that lingers in the halls, even though it's never truly silent. It's hard to shake the feeling of being abandoned, even in a place designed to provide care. On a personal level, the emotional toll has been one of the toughest parts of living here. It's not just the loneliness, it's the quiet sense of being forgotten. The feeling that once you're in a nursing home, people forget you're still a person with needs beyond just being fed and bathed. There are moments when you miss the simple interactions you had when you were more independent, the spontaneous visits from friends or family, or even just the freedom to go out and see someone on your own. It's a mental and emotional challenge that I didn't fully anticipate. The staff may provide physical care, but the emotional care isn't always there in the way I imagined. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, I want you to think about how you'll cope emotionally. It's easy to assume that being around others will automatically cure loneliness, but that's not always the case. You may find yourself longing for deeper connections that are hard to come by in such a structured environment. It's something I wish I had known before making the decision. The emotional toll is real, and it's something you should consider before moving into a place like this. Truth number 3, subpar care. When I decided to move into a nursing home, one of the biggest selling points for me was the promise of professional, compassionate care. I imagined that the staff would be dedicated to ensuring I was well taken care of, whether it was managing my medications, helping with daily tasks, or simply offering some company when needed. After all, nursing homes are supposed to be places where you receive specialized attention, right? I thought I could count on having my needs met by experienced, caring professionals. But the reality of the care I've received here has been far from what I expected. Many of the staff members are incredibly overworked, and the facilities are often understaffed, which means that the attention you receive can sometimes feel rushed, impersonal, or even neglectful. There are times when I've had to wait for extended periods before anyone comes to help with something as simple as getting out of bed or using the restroom. And when the staff does finally arrive, it often feels like they're just going through the motions. The quality of care can vary greatly from one caregiver to another, and on some days, it's hard not to feel like you're just another name on a long list of patients. I've had several moments when the care I received simply didn't meet my expectations, and it's taken a toll on my well-being. There have been times when I needed assistance with basic tasks, but because of understaffing, it took longer than expected for anyone to show up. There was a period when I had an issue with my medication, and it took several reminders before it was addressed. I've even experienced situations where I felt completely overlooked, left in a room for hours without anyone checking in. While I understand that nursing homes face challenges with staffing, it's still difficult not to feel like you're not getting the level of care you deserve, especially when you're paying for it. If you're considering moving into a nursing home, I want you to understand that while you might expect a high standard of care, the reality can be different. The overworked staff, understaffed facilities, and sometimes neglectful moments can have a significant impact on your health and overall sense of security. It's something I wish I had fully understood before making this choice. The quality of care here isn't always what you hope for, and it can be disheartening to realize that sometimes your well-being doesn't feel like the top priority. Truth number 4, lack of privacy. When I first thought about moving into a nursing home, I imagined having my own space, a private room where I could arrange my personal belongings and have moments of solitude. I thought I'd be able to retreat to my room when I needed rest, reflect on my thoughts, or just enjoy the quiet. I imagined having the freedom to make the space feel like home, with personal items that would provide comfort and familiarity. It seemed like the perfect setup for someone looking for both care and independence. But the reality of privacy in a nursing home is quite different. Most nursing homes, especially the more affordable ones, offer shared rooms rather than private ones. That means you're not just sharing your space with another person, you're constantly surrounded by the activity of others. There's constant foot traffic, from staff coming in and out for care to other residents needing assistance. Your personal space isn't really yours, and you quickly learn that privacy is a luxury you don't have. Even small moments of solitude are hard to come by when you have someone else in your room, and the daily bustle makes it difficult to feel truly at peace. Personally, the lack of privacy has been one of the hardest adjustments. It's not just the shared room, it's the sense that there's no place to truly call your own. Your space becomes just another part of the nursing home's daily operations, and that takes a mental toll. The absence of privacy affects my sense of independence and mental well-being. There's no place to escape to when you need a break or when you want to do something personal, like reading or reflecting without interruptions. It feels as though you're always on display, whether it's the staff coming in or fellow residents walking by. Over time, this constant lack of privacy can make you feel like you're losing control over your own life, and that's something I didn't fully anticipate. If you're thinking about moving into a nursing home, you need to be prepared for the lack of privacy that comes with it. It's something I wish I had fully understood before I made the move. You may think you'll have a private space where you can enjoy some peace, but the reality is often shared rooms, constant foot traffic, and little to no personal space. This lack of privacy can affect your mental health and your ability to feel truly at home. It's an adjustment you'll need to consider before making the decision to move in. Truth number 5, the food. Before moving into a nursing home, I thought one of the perks would be the meals. I imagined healthy, balanced, and well-prepared dishes that would not only nourish my body but also provide a little comfort. After all, they say you are what you eat, and I figured that a place dedicated to caring for its residents would have a kitchen that took food seriously. I was looking forward to enjoying nutritious meals that fit my dietary needs and maybe even some treats every now and then to make the experience feel a little more homey. But the reality of the food has been a real disappointment. The meals are often bland, repetitive, and unappetizing. It's not just that the food doesn't taste great. It often feels like it's been mass-produced and lacks any personal touch or thought about the residents' actual preferences. Some days, the food just doesn't meet my dietary needs or preferences, and it's hard to find a meal that I genuinely enjoy. Everything feels rushed, from the overcooked vegetables to the flavorless meats. It's clear that the focus is on efficiency rather than quality, and as a result, the meals often feel more like a chore than something to look forward to. Personally, the food has been one of the biggest struggles I've faced in the nursing home. It's not just about the lack of flavor. It's about the lack of variety and the feeling that meals are simply there to fill you up, not to bring any joy or satisfaction. Over time, the monotony of the meals began to affect my mood. I found myself dreading meal times, and that made everything feel just a little more difficult to bear. When you're already dealing with the emotional and physical challenges of living in a nursing home, the food is one thing you can't control, and it can feel like another piece of the puzzle that's just not right. If you're considering a nursing home, keep in mind that the food might not be as enjoyable or nutritious as you expect. It's easy to think that meals will be a highlight of your day, but in reality, the food can often be a letdown. The quality of the meals here is something I wish I had thought more about before moving in, because as trivial as it may seem, it can really affect your overall experience. Truth number 6, financial burden. When I first made the decision to move into a nursing home, I expected it to be an affordable option that would offer good value for the cost. I thought that for the amount I'd be paying, I would be receiving top-notch care and a comfortable environment, all without breaking the bank. After all, nursing homes are supposed to be a place where you can get the support you need at a reasonable price, right? I figured the cost would be manageable and that I could find a way to cover it without too much stress. But the reality of the financial burden hit me hard. The cost of care is far higher than I initially anticipated, and what I'm paying now is much more than I thought I would. On top of the base rate, there are often unexpected fees, things like extra charges for specialized services, medications, or even activities that aren't covered by the basic package. It quickly adds up, and before long I found myself paying more than I could have imagined. The long-term financial impact is something that no one really warns you about, and it can be overwhelming to realize how much the cost of living in a nursing home truly is. For me, the financial strain has been one of the hardest things to face. The cost isn't just about the money, it's about what it means for my family. The burden of paying for care, sometimes without much choice, can lead to financial stress for my loved ones as well. It's a lot to ask of family members, and knowing that the cost is slowly depleting savings or resources is something I hadn't fully grasped when I first decided to move in. While I understand that high-quality care isn't cheap, it's still shocking how quickly the financial strain becomes real, and it can lead to anxiety about the future. If you're considering a nursing home, I can't stress enough how important it is to fully understand the financial impact. The costs are much higher than you might expect, and there are often hidden fees that can add to the burden. It's not just about what you're paying now, but the long-term financial strain it can put on your family and your future. This is a reality I wish I had fully understood before making the decision to move in, and it's something you should consider seriously before taking the plunge. Conclusion. So there you have it. 6 hard truths about life in a nursing home that I wish I had known before making the decision to move in. While it's not all bad, the reality can be much different than what you expect. If you're considering a nursing home, I hope these insights help you make a more informed decision. Thank you so much for watching. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you agree with these truths, or have you had a different experience? Leave a comment below and let me know if you'd rate this video a 9 or a 0 based on what you've learned today. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-life wisdom. Until next time, take care.